Time is 6:01. This is the meeting of the Community Development Corporation of Los Fresnos. This is our regular meeting. Today's date is November 1st, 2021, and again, the time is 6:01. We'll start with the agenda. Item A, call the meeting to order, which I just did. Item B, invocation and pledge.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for another day we have to enjoy. Thank you for the folks here that serve our community and give of their time, and we thank you for their efforts and their preparation and the decisions that they make, and just ask you to continue to bless them. As we talking about tonight, our military forces, we have a special prayer for them and appreciation for all they do and the sacrifices them and their family make. The ones that have gone on before have served, and the ones that will serve. We ask you to bless them, and we ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, under item C, Citizens Forum, Ms. Jackie just notified me that Mr. Nunez would like to speak. Welcome, Mr. Nunez.
Thank you. My name is Rogelio Nunez, the director of the Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center. Thank you for, again, a lot of support that you've given us over the years now. There is the festival magazine that we put out, and there is a report in there. We have not yet tied up all the loose ends, but we're about 95%. A couple of more bills are coming in, and we'll pay that out. But I think we did well. We spent close to $30,000, and after everything's paid off, we'll probably come around with $3,000 in the black, so that's very good. So as you see the report, it's brief. We started out with a few comments from people who commented about the festival. Just people saying we enjoyed it, we want to come back, this was our first time, we had a good time, we danced, et cetera, et cetera. There are two quotes there from two professors, Dan Margolis and Gregory Reich, who were at the festival. Actually, there were two of three professors, but they wrote a letter to me, and I've included the letters in your packet, basically saying what they saw. They've been around festivals, they do a lot of folk music events, and they definitely have been to the San Antonio Conjunto Festival, and Dan has been to our festival before, but Greg was the first time. And there, again, you can read their letters, they were very impressed. They were very glad that we had the festival, and you can read about how important it is to have this kind of event. And as we said before, when we talk about our festival, we are only one of two festivals in the entire nation that focuses on this genre of music, which is conjunto. So again, from the Los Fresnos perspective, the CDC gave us $5,000. We spent it very well. Again, in terms of support was important. In terms of people coming in, our best guesstimate, we had 2 days instead of the usual three that we have. In the 2 days, the folks that were up front charging and volunteering and so forth conducted 708 small interviews. Is this your first time? Where do you come from? And we had, again, first-time visitors, which is great, and then we had repeat visitors, which is great. From my perspective, again, the number one, it's not number one, but it's important to look at, there were 69 people from Houston. Again, and that's very good. I stayed the 2 days at the hotel here locally, Los Fresnos Inn, and it was packed both nights. No glitches in terms of the PD, as always, excellent job. Uh, the public works persons, excellent job. So people are pleased, they like it. One of the things at least when I do the stage management, I kind of wander around the event the whole time because, making sure everything's well. But one of the things that we do, which is different than San Antonio, and it's not a negative thing on San Antonio, is that we're very personable. I'm very personable. I don't know you. I'll walk up to you and ask you, where you're from, what are you doing, do you like it, so on and so forth. And so commenting about like coming to Los Fresnos, they actually feel good about the town. It's small, For the Houston folks say, man, this is a relief from Houston, which again it is, compared to 4 million to our 8,000 here in the community. But overall, I mean, the event went well. Unless somebody tells me differently, I didn't get any complaints from anybody. A couple of complaints that, again, are usual. Some people move those, the bleachers. We work with Mr. Gonzalez on where do we want the bleachers and so forth, and they do great. Some people want to be up there, like they got there late maybe, and they were moving the bleachers. They, can't do that. I mean, again, it took hours to set this park up, which again is very well done. The grass was trimmed and everything was just where it should be. But other than that, I didn't hear anybody complaining. They love the music. This is a dance music. There's some pictures in there where you'll see, if you go to our Facebook page, Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center, you'll actually see the videos of people dancing. Again, as soon as the music starts, and that's one thing we are, very proud of, doing this festival 28 years. We don't spend any time with this, the fluff. In other words, the bands go, you don't need to talk any more than other than what you're recording, your bajo sexto do. Don't tell me your story about your grandmother and so on and so forth, that she used to listen to a chord. No. And so they already know. And so they just start the music, it starts moving. They finish in an hour, we take them off, we bring the next band on, and everything works well. So there's one video that already has over 14,000 views. But most of the videos that are on Facebook that are put on by ourselves, my daughter does a lot of video. I do some, not as much. Others do, and so on and so forth. They're averaging 1,000 or more people in terms of views. So I think we're, as they say, pretty much over the hump. I mean, for all those that, if you don't know, we did this 25 years in San Benito, and we had really done great. We were like moving to the next level, and then it didn't happen. But we moved to Los Fresnos the first year, the second year, COVID came. I could feel, some of us could feel, even though it was a 2-day event, that we have arrived and it's going to get better and it's going to improve. And I think that we're here until who knows. As one of my friends from San Antonio told me who couldn't make it, he's the founder of the Conjunto Festival in San Antonio, because it was our 30th anniversary. We skipped 2 festivals, one for COVID and one for, again, what happened in San Benito. He says, hopefully your next 30 years will be great. And I said, well, I don't know if we'll be around for 30 more years, but we certainly will do everything we can to move forward. So we thank the city of Los Fresnos, we thank the Los Fresnos CDC, we thank the Chamber of Commerce and everybody that participated. There are many unknown heroes in this whole thing. People who put in a lot of time, effort, and energy, and it just happens that way. So we have some excellent people who handle the bar. I mean, I don't have to even step in there to what's going on. They've been doing it for now at least a good 10 years, and they can run that bar, I think, better than a lot of places that I've been in terms of where bar people hang out and so forth. And then the people on the volunteers, we had over 25 volunteers, the entrance, the payment, the greeting of the people, the giving out of the magazine, we're selling tickets for a raffle. Everything just fell into place. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here to entertain a question. Any comments?
You're in the public speakers comment section,
Correct.
and we're not allowed
Okay,
to.
all right.
But thank you very much for your address to us, and congratulations.
Thank you. And we'll be back next week for the city council meeting, also to, again, present and so forth. But thank you very much. We look forward to working with you anytime between now and the next festival. I mean, I think, hanging out with, I'll start to make some reaching out to the Los Fresnos Rodeo. There is an ad in our magazine. I have posted a video, a ad in our Facebook page promoting the rodeo. So I think from now on, we'll collaborate as much as we can to anything that we can do in Los Fresnos from our perspective as a center. So we'll definitely see each other more. Hopefully we get past this COVID. I think we are maybe there. but maybe 2022 will really, we're going to rest a little bit, but we're going to come back stronger in 2022. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else, Miss Jackie, sign up? That being the case, we'll move on to action items under D. Number 1, consideration and action to approve the minutes of October 4, 2021. They're contained in our packets. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 4th, 21.
I would second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the minutes of October 4, 2021. Any questions, comments, discussion?
No, sir.
That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under action item D2, consideration and action to acknowledge the October 2021 financial report under A, monthly, B, year-to-date report, and C, sales tax report. Mr. Milo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, packet page 8 shows the checks that were written. There's none that you shouldn't recognize from just ongoing things that we do. The next page is just a summary. We're just in the first month, so not a lot of activity yet. 8.33% of the year completed. We got 8.77 in revenues and only spent 1.47 in expenditures, so right at $5,900. So revenue on sales tax was $44,746.43. So that's starting out good. The next pages are just the listings of the accounts that finance puts those in, and so as you might know, 1 month in, we're in good shape. We're in good shape, which is better be, right? Don't mess it up starting off. So everything's in good shape starting the year off. I'll direct you to page 16, which is a sales tax report. Another good month, 14.7. Is that 7.8? My contacts are bad. 14.76% increase over the same month last year. So October of last year, we're up 14%. And as you can see, October of last year, we were 13.64% above the prior October. So doing real well. As we talked about last month, we finished the year at a little over 16% up in sales tax. So doing really good. And that's all my report unless there's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Milam. Do we have any, or do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we acknowledge the October 2021 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report.
And I'll second the motion to acknowledge the same report.
There's a motion and a second. We acknowledge the October 2021 financial report as presented by Mr. Milam. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under D3, presentation proposed on Veterans Park on 1, dual purpose seating, 2, education, 3, service emblems, 4, military equipment, 5, design, and 6, location.
Good evening, gentlemen. So I was run down, you have in your packet, we met, me being Leo, and I met with Mr. Milam back on 20 October and we discussed, I brought about 6 slides, and he had some slides that had been done before, so I was kind of walk through and kind of lay out what the situation is. So your packet page 18, the idea there is dual purpose seating, and so there's some designs potentially you see, for instance, at the there's low walls that serve as a seating at the far Veterans Memorial. Then I took some pictures in front of the PX there, and at Fort Sam they have some security bollards that you could also sit on, and so I drew this little design down at the bottom. Maybe we could do something kind of like this thing we have out front with the state of Texas, but with the star that people could visit the veterans, and then also it could serve as seating. So when we meet with the engineer, we'll talk to him about that. The second idea was incorporating some education. So you see on your packet page 19, it shows an example up in McAllen. They have these large granite blocks like Valor or Courage, and then there's different members from the Valley that were in different wars. And then the next is just an example of where you have a seating and a marker. And so the big idea would be if we were to have something at the Memorial Park, where there's already a trail that goes around the Memorial Park across from the high school, that you could have waypoints with seating and describe the different wars the U.S. has been in. There's at least 20 if you go from Revolutionary War through, that we could start talking up through the Global War on Terror that we could add to that. And so that's a bigger question we may talk about is, would that fit out front, or would that be something we would put, if we had the Veterans Park here in front of the City Hall, would something like that fit? Or would we need to move over and put that at the Memorial Park? Is there enough space for something like that? So we can talk about that when I get through with the presentation. The next slide, packet page 20, the service emblems. And if you look up here at the, I don't know if y'all can see it or not, that this drawing here is probably, I think, probably the best of all the ones we looked at, which was you have the Texas, U.S. and POW flag, and then you have a little individual like monolith for each of the services. And that was kind of how we met with the consensus, kind of, at least that's what we thought was a good design. I think there's an extra packet, maybe the way I sent the PDF, an extra page. So if you go to page 24, this is the last part of the ideas I brought, which was having some type of military equipment. And so I took a picture here at the Fort Sam has some equipment. They have their museum. At Laguna Vista, they actually have these, I don't know what they're called, like these bollards that are used to tie the ships up with, and they have 3 of them there. And the coincidence was each of those 3 are from ships that were decommissioned and recycled by the port down in Brownsville. So that's where I thought they might be potential. There's 2 more aircraft carriers coming soon to the port in Brownsville to be recycled. And so maybe if we could get some ends, talk to them, get an official note to them, and get something like anti-aircraft gun or something cool, or something just like these shipping bollards. And then the last 2 slides there, page 25 and 26, that was just my little show and tell from when I did my project back when I was in a previous lifetime working in Harlingen, coming up with an idea, and then talking about a bunch of people getting input, and then the final project was all the palm trees you see on the interexchange over by the mall. And so my training's in landscape architecture. I can draw a bunch of circles, but I needed of all the plans, but I need the engineer to like do the final drawings and execute it. So I'd be available to concepts and then work with the engineers about what the final product's going to look like. So if you look in the back, I don't know if Mark, you want to talk about the ones in the very back of the back packet here, or how we want to address those.
Yeah, those are just ones that the engineer that passed away had originally given us, that they're in the back of your packet, that just shows some concepts to accomplish the each branch of the military and the flag and kind of like this. And I think we kind of like this, except maybe spread out further, so that, you know, I might be looking at this one and someone else is looking at this one. And if you have I'm old fashioned, so I want to push a button and it talk to you, talk about the, you know, the different branch when it was formed and maybe the song about it. I think each one of them has a song that they use. But in addition to that, today you can do a QR code and it'll be attractive to the younger folks. Us older ones, you know, I want to push a button, but a QR code would be great. And they'll tell you about as much as we could have that recorded and tell us just as much as you want about each branch of the military anyway. Those just show you some different examples. I've called the engineer and he, architect, engineer, and he just hasn't had time to get back with us. So, but we wanted to kind of show you the concepts and the piece I love the best is maybe I think we got to keep this in my mind, just because they donated the property, keep this here. But if we want to go into really do something with Memorial Park, because everyone's always, oh, Memorial of what? Well, we could do that and maybe on the trail where Mr. Keeter was talking about it is have those around the trail. And I just think that'd be pretty awesome and have a little, you know, walk on the trail and then you have a place that it tells you a summary of that war. And I don't know, I just think that would be a neat thing. Maybe not phase 1, maybe that's phase 2 or phase 3 or anyway, just a lot of ideas that I think have a lot of potential to be interesting for folks.
How much area were you looking at and dedicating to any type of military artifacts? Jeeps, cannons, whatever.
Not a lot. We expect us to get more than 1 or 2 things.
Your button, Mr. Q.
I don't know if we'd get more than one or two things, so not a lot of space. If it was an anti-aircraft gun, it'd be the size of this, pointing up. If it was those bollards that they tied the ships to, those were the size of these 3 tables at the most. So the actual military equipment wouldn't take up a lot of space. It would be more just to grab people's attention. Hey, what's this? And go over and see the rest of it.
And to add to that, I think some of those could be placed strategically along the front walking trail to where it doesn't interfere, because we don't have enough soccer areas yet. You know, we want to buy some land and move those away from there, but I think we can strategically locate them around. I mean, if you think where the pool is, there's some areas in different places in front of there, and then there's a pretty long place between there and the housing development to where you could put a couple of those, you know, 3 or 4, 5, and I don't think we'd ever get more than that, but they are hard to come by.
Yeah, because that's part of their income. They normally sell those. When they scrap the ship, everything off that's marketable. And so we'd have to convince them to donate it to us.
Correct, and so that's why I was trying to start the conversation with them, because it's not a coincidence that the 3 ships that are at the Laguna Vista are the same 3 that were done by the port. So someone was talking to someone. I don't know if money had changed hands between the city and the recyclers, or if they donate it. I'm not sure yet.
They probably struck an agreement for a donation and a write-off of some sort, I would imagine. So,
My comment about those artifacts is that I like them personally. I have concerns though because our parks are generally crawling with kids. And that's what I'm concerned about, kids crawling on them, getting hurt. Those are not toys, you know, they're serious armaments. And granted, they're not live or functional, but still, you know, you fall, hit your head. That's my concern. Plus, the area that they would take, the park, even this memorial park, the area is very limited. So I think it's something to consider maybe at a second phase, maybe finding a piece of land where we have some room to spread our wings and just do something. My thoughts on this, it would be, I think we were initially talking about the area of land in front of City Hall, correct, Mr. Milo?
on the southeast corner,
Okay, so, you know, we can do, I don't know about the one with the flags or that. I like that. That's very presentable. With that, there was something that I liked in one of them, and that is, I think the worst thing we can do is when you start to name people, veterans, is leave someone out. And I'm very concerned about a plaque that would be one-time print and, oh geez, we left Joe's name out. And, you know, and I think that would be terrible. I like the fact that there's bricks in one of them where you can always add, you know, we didn't forget you, Joe, here's your brick, you know, something along those lines. So, yeah, so I kind of like that. Because to me, that would be a nightmare, having some guy that served his country and went through a whole lot, and then we omitted him. So those are my thoughts on it. I think it's a great presentation. There's a lot of very good ideas. There's still a lot of work to be done, engineering-wise, architecturally, financially, cost, and all of that. But you did a great job of getting on first base, Mr. Keeler.
Just to comment on the equipment. So when I was a kid, we went to Fort Sam, and they had the relics were sitting in a park with the seesaws, and parents let us run. We ran around, jumped and climbed all over them. And I think it's new times now. So now when you go there, it's in the museum and it's monitored, and they're all in one spot. And there's no kids climbing on them anymore. So that is a valid concern.
I like the idea of doing it in phases, because the concept had been talked about here for a long time about putting something in relation to City Hall. And if you orientate it in such a way, you put a small parking space in front of it, and then the flags, the emblems, and those type of things. If you're going to add a wall, if you want to add names, I guess something blank so you could add the names as they're brought forward. So anytime anyone said, hey, can I get, you know, my uncle or my cousin put up there, then you just simply add that to it.
It looks like Laguna Vista used the brick idea. When you're in front of their wall that has the service emblems on the ground, there's bricks with people's names in them.
Okay.
And I think that's a great way, and you can always keep adding.
I also like the idea of seating. A lot of people that come to a memorial like this, they don't come to just look at it and say, oh, how pretty, and then move on. They want to sit down, they want to reflect on their experience, maybe learn something about, not necessarily that person themselves, but maybe a family member was in the military and they want to reflect on, this is what my brother went through or saw and things like that. So I like the idea of seating. I think seating is very important. I like the fact that you kind of integrate a little bit of plants and stuff like that in it, but I like the seating idea. I think it's a must-have for anything we do to allow people to reflect.
One other question, on the brick concept, is the recognition for the individuals on the bricks that are part of the walking area?
It's on this one here. You can actually see the bricks with names. My eyes aren't that good, but it looked like it may have the name of the person, their branch, and whether they served in a certain war or other. This one.
Okay, and so that's part of the walking area. Personally, I don't feel that if you're gonna honor someone, you don't make them part of a walking surface. Now, that's just my personal opinion, that to honor them, that you put them up, that they're not part of an area that is walked on. Because that whole thing becomes really a sacred monument. Yeah, you might do it in front of where you put the flags and each of the emblems, and then you add the bricks to that area.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, your comments are important, but it's not a public speaker section, but they're welcome. Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Thanks for all your feedback. Well, I think the next step is we're trying to meet with the engineer. We'll put that out. I think people want to come to the meeting. We'll meet in one of these small conference rooms where we need, based on how many people we have, and we'll start talking through. It sounds like we're moving toward the idea of 2 phases, trying to definitely have something here in front of the city hall with flags, maybe not too many flags, but at least the 3 flags, Texas, U.S., and a POW flag, the monoliths for the different services, seating, and then thinking about how we would do the names, where it's respectful, where it won't be stepped on. And then the next step would be then look at the historical trail and any military equipment as a phase 2. So that would be pretty much the end of my presentation. But a side note would be, one of the things we want to do in this committee is have a Veterans Day ceremony next year. And so as we learn all the veterans in town, get this project going, I think it'll all snowball together.
Another idea would be to, I understand your point about stepping on someone by having that brick down on the walking areas is possibly some sort of a digital presentation. I mean, we're modern times, our Welcome to Los Fresnos sign is seen by a lot of people, so maybe some sort of digital presentation, because we're talking about, well, there's quite a few military branches, but there's quite a few military conflicts that our veterans have been to. So maybe, something along those lines, a big screen TV or whatever it's called, and and a presentation to run through computers.
I think Mark had a good idea. If you put, what'd you call it, Q code? A QR code on the phone that would be, if you put it upon the website or whatever, it would give you the ability to put a lot more information, but it wouldn't take up space in where you're at. So that way you could always add additional information, and then they could stand and look at tablet, phone.
Yes, and somebody who's interested in the Marines, not to say anything bad about the other branches, can just go and scan that code for the Marines and get all that information. That's a good idea. There's so many good ideas still out there, so it's a work in progress, and a lot of decisions need to be made, and it looks like we're headed in the right direction. That concludes your report, Mr. Keeler. Mr. Milam? Okay, moving on to item D4, consideration and action to approve a signed grant for Star Insurance Advisors LLC located at 32819 State Highway 100, Suite 109.
Committee met before this meeting and proposed the signs and more for $5,010 with the CDC's portion be $2,505. You can see in the packet the sign, how it looks, pretty cool looking. And that's their recommendation approval as well as staff's.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the signed grant for Star Insurance Advisors LLC located at 32819 State Highway 100, Suite 109.
I second the motion.
Include the amount, please.
Yes. For the approved amount.
5,010 and CDC portion 2,505.
Okay.
Jackie has it.
We have a motion that we approve a signed grant for Star Insurance located on State Highway 100 in the amount of $5,010. The CDC portion would be $2,505, and there's a second. Any questions, comments, discussion?
No, sir.
That being the case, all in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item E, report by CDC consultant. Under number 1, CDC consultant report, October 2021. A, business development. B, housing development. C, industrial development. D, community development. E, U.S. Census population. F, workforce solutions. Cameron. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, gentlemen. Thank you for your service. I apologize for the little moment. I just buried my brother a week and a half ago, Purple Heart, of the 101st Screaming Eagles. And not too long ago, me and my cousin, and family buried our nephew, his son, died in Iraq. So this means a lot to me. I just lost the moment in terms of the memorial. Okay, to the report, Mr. Chairman, board members, on economic and community development, you can see the different couple of clusters of areas of work that we work from your office here at City Hall. Business and area residents looking for sites, information, and technical assistance. I give 3 areas of work that occurred this last 30 days. Part of it is referrals to others because a lot of folks don't know of this assistance out there. I've mentioned that before to you, and it works. We're working to a workforce on initiatives as well that's coming out to help our folks that are in the workforce. You'll see that attachment on workforce in the news release. I just wonder on that report came out of Workforce Commission was approved in June 26, and we didn't get this till late October. They took 90 days to get from Austin to here, I guess. But we're going to be doing some outreach to help our folks here that works in restaurants and other related industries that this help is there out for them. And housing developments, as you can see the map also attached of the streets, new streets. We're updating our brochure of city and maps here and totally changing the complex to what is new and going forward after this pandemic. I hope soon we're crawling out of it. But you can see that those streets there are named, and there's quite a few. And this is important because we're growing this past decade. This growth, as I told you in the past, in housing will bring more population this decade. And of course, it's another big development coming in. Hopefully, it's being on the drawing boards. But you can see that information is also going to be added to our new mapping programs here and what we use in our websites and our offices. So housing development, housing counts have been growing in town and show a very positive trend. And we continue to do referrals to USDA on their loans and talking to potential developers on the ability to lend to these folks that qualify for USDA. We still are in parts of our town, large parts of our town, are in the USDA eligible areas for financing at 3%. Please pass the word out. Industrial development, you can see the main initiatives. There's a lot of other stuff we work with Eddie and the business at the port with mail outs, et cetera, keeping them informed. But you can see the two main initiatives that we're working with them out there to bring folks opportunity and training and also into the driving industry, which we're having a major problem, as you know, with the supply end of problems in our nation. And community development, you can see all the points there of activities, and one of them was working with Conjuntos. We worked with the other event. And finally, I'm not going through all of it. I want to describe what's going to happen. We're going to go to the Harlingen Birding Fest. We'll have a 10x10 booth. I gave you a list of the dates available next week. We'll be there. We'll set it up and be there throughout the weekend, me and Bianca. And we'll be having we'll be promoting our community. But that's why all this time, we've diversified, you diversified with your leadership in the city into having a comprehensive program of the nature park and the trails. And we'll be passing out this information, including the trails, which has now gotten to this point by the new RV park. So, let's see the importance, and they'll be on tour. We're going to be taking the chamber, our ambassador, if I may. We'll be talking to the school district and others about us having different locations for educating our community of the opportunities that they have for outdoor activities. You can see that I wrote there. And if you have any questions, you can always call me. I'm available. And that's it. That's my report, generally. We'll see you at the show if you can come by. We'll be promoting Los Fresnos.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Under item F, report by General Manager under A, cameras, B, infrastructure, caution lights. Mr. Milam.
cameras are ordered and infrastructure project. Talked to Chief Daniels, and he got tired of waiting on TxDOT, so he has hired a company that can put the, those lights up that were approved by the board, and they were gonna pay for it, and they're working with TxDOT. TxDOT said, fine, great, so hopefully for too much longer, that'll get done and be off of the report and out of his, his storage room over there. And that's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Moving on to item G, committee reports in action as may be appropriate. Short route is to ask anybody, do you have anything to report on these committees?
No, sir.
That being the case, item number H, meeting adjourned.